This is the Tesla Model X, and it's a perfect car if you like a grand entrance because it's got these wonderful falcon doors. I mean, look at it, there's nothing else like it in the world. It's incredible. And the benefit of these amazing doors is that it's dead easy to climb into the back of the car. So you can get this Model X as a 5-seater, a 6-seater, or like this one, a 7-seater, though you do have to pay extra for the extra chairs. Let's talk about the room here in the back. I'll just shut this door. Just press the button and down it comes, and don't worry, it's not going to squash my head because there is plenty of headroom here. I've got loads of knee room as well, and you can stretch your feet out under the chair in front. Also, you've got 3 individual chairs. Now, they do move individually. So the outer ones, you can control them yourself from the seat, but the middle one, you have to control it from the screen in the front, and I'll show you more about that later. Okay, so this middle panel does mean headroom is a bit limited, but I'm sitting up straight and I've still just about got enough, and there's loads of leg room. It's a really wide-bodied car as well, so it is comfy with 3 people abreast in this middle row. Helps that you've got a flat floor, so there's loads and loads of foot space. Anyway, let's jump into the rear and show you what it's like back there. So yeah, these doors, I love them, I love them. Now, to move the chair out the way, it's just a press of a button. Everything is all electric, slides gracefully out the way, and then you have quite a bit of space to climb into the back. I am gonna just move this chair forward, pull this one back so you can see exactly what's going on back here. So this chair is as far back as it can go, and I've still got just about enough knee room. If I wanted to, I could slide that forward a bit and there'd still be lots of room in the middle row for the person in front of me. In terms of headroom, look at this, right? There is a ridge here, so you wouldn't want to be like that. But if you're just relaxing your seat, it's all right. I'm actually perfectly comfortable back here. It's quite impressive, and there's lots of glass area as well. So it's nice and light and airy. It's actually a genuinely practical 7-seater car. Now, let's check out the boot, see what it's like for carrying stuff. So with all 7 seats in place, the actual space isn't all that bad. And if you look here, there's no low lip to lift stuff across, though you do have this false floor, so you could create one if you were wanting to, but it does create a bit more space down there. And you can get your charging cables in there. Just put that back up. In terms of features, there's some tethering points here. Here, there's a 12-volt socket as well there. Now, if you need more space, you can fold down these back seats. Funnily though, you actually have to push them with your hand. In an Audi Q7, they're electric. This is the only non-electric part of this car, I'm sure. Once you do that, you've got a bit more space and a flat load area. What you can't do though is fold down that middle row. They're fixed, though you can slide them forward electrically and then try and fill the car up the best you can. So this Model X is actually quite an expensive car. So it starts from £75,000. This 100D with options is over £100,000. But the fit and finish isn't quite that of a £100,000 car. I mean, it's nice, and the design is fairly minimalistic. But yeah, I think a Mercedes S-Class does feel a bit posher on the inside. What does stand out though is this screen. I mean, look at it, it's absolutely massive. So you've got the internet on there if you want it. You've got full Google mapping. Actually, you can control most of the car's functions through it as well. The suspension, I can shut the other rear door using it. I can move all the seats about. I can change the driving style, so I can put on regenerative braking to standard or low, and that means that when I'm driving around town, I can lift off the throttle and it'll slow the car down to charge the batteries, and it's almost like you're braking without actually having to use the brake. It's great. Obviously, being an electric car, it's automatic. There is just one gear, so it's dead easy to drive. And it's actually dead easy to see what's going on as well, because the digital driver's display is nice and clear. In terms of storage, it's actually all right. Huge door bins, fit a big bottle. There's more storage here, and there's some more storage under here, and there's various charging points for all your electric devices as well. What do you expect? It's an electric car. You've basically got this big battery pack with you.
That's all the practical stuff dealt with. Now let's see what this electric SUV is like to drive.
Now, once you get on the open road, this Model X actually handles a lot better than you'd imagine it to. So yes, it may be a tall car, but because the batteries are kept low down in the car, it keeps the centre of gravity as low as possible. So, well, it doesn't really roll at all in the corners. Now, part of the reason for that is also that the suspension is a little bit on the firm side. Now, as standard, all models, apart from the entry-level car, get air suspension. It's not the most floaty experience though. So you do feel the bumps a little bit because obviously, like I said, the suspension is a little bit on the firm side to stop it rolling around in the corners. But even though it does corner pretty well, I wouldn't say it's exactly much fun to drive apart from the instant acceleration from that electric motor. So I mean, yeah, you can be going along at 30 miles an hour and then you're doing 70, just like that. Just like that. I mean, it's so addictive, and you just end up putting your foot down just for the sheer heck of it. It's so addictive, and it's so fast. So this 100D, it can get from 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. I mean, that is insane. The only problem is that soon eats into your battery range. So Tesla says this car, if you're sensible, will do between 250 and 300 miles on a charge. But you're probably going to get around 200, and if you're a little bit enthusiastic with the accelerator, you're going to get quite a bit less. Now you can charge it at a Tesla supercharger, and 30 minutes will give you 170 miles extra range. So yeah, if you can find one of those, that's great. Otherwise, you do it at home. And the cost, I mean, it's pretty cheap. It's much cheaper to run, actually, in terms of electricity than a normal petrol or diesel car. One thing to note, though, is that, yeah, it is quite expensive itself. And when you're going at speed at the motorway, because there's no engine sound, you do notice wind and tyre roar a little bit more than you might expect.
Now then, it's time to look at what's good and not so good about the Tesla Model X. And there's so much to talk about that rather than doing 5 good things, I'm actually going to do 10.
The car has a front trunk with enough space for a human, and you can use the bonnet then as a sunshade. The car knows when you've arrived at a Tesla supercharger, and the charge port automatically opens. You can get a specialist air filter for the car, which is so good it even has a bioweapon defense mode. The only problem is if someone farts in the car and you've got to recirculate, the smell will never leave. You can get the Model X with full self-driving capability, and that makes it more autonomous than any other production car. In fact, Tesla says it's actually safer at driving than a human. Crazy. The ISOFIX anchor points for a child seat are very easy to get to. They're just under this little flap here. Tesla can send software patches to your car over the internet to apparently improve your driver experience. This car has a drag coefficient of just 0.24 CD, whatever that means. Apparently it's the most aerodynamic SUV you can buy, and that helps improve the efficiency and reduce wind noise. When you put your foot on the brake, the electric driver's door automatically closes. The Falcon doors can open with just 11 inches of space. Look at that. And once they're up, you can hop in and even drive along with them open. See ya! The windscreen is the largest on any production car. It's bigger than a man.
However, not everything about the Tesla Model X is great. Here's 10 annoying things about it.
The design of the rear doors means there's no cup holders in them because things will just fall out. The towing capacity is as little as 1.6 tonnes. In contrast, a Land Rover Discovery can pull 3.5 tonnes. Some of the fit of the trim and the panel gaps is just atrocious for a car of this price. I quite like the way this sunblind operates, but quite frankly, I'd like one that actually extended to cover the whole of this area of the windscreen. This car only actually gets 5 seats as standard. If you want it with 6 seats, that's an extra £3 grand, and if you want it as this 7-seater, that is £4,000 more. Tesla built this car as a sports utility vehicle, but really it looks more like a minivan. In fact, it's kind of like a Model S that's been stung by a bee and suffered anaphylactic shock and swollen up. If you really want to make the most out of your Spotify and your internet radio, you're going to have to pay £2.5 grand for the upgraded sound system because the standard speakers really aren't very good. The rear windows don't go much more than halfway down. Rubbish. The headrests in the middle row don't fold down, so they always obscure your view. It's really hard to shut the bonnet at the first attempt, or at the second attempt, or the third attempt. It usually goes at the fourth. So then, what's my verdict on the Tesla Model X? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it, or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Model X. It's a really unique car. It's just a little bit expensive.